Wrestle Plug 444 Life.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to #get plugged in.
The refreshing, empowering moment that we have all wanted from WWE.
It's like ordering a medium pizza and then turning up with an extra large and a bottle of Coke.
What happens is these fucking people live in this fantasy land.
Everyone got their shit in, everyone got each other over, everyone looked good, and made the industry look great.
New Japan wrestling talent.
I'm a true champion. Mamma mia!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug podcast, episode 437. And with that, we have a fantastic Brit Rest interview for you. I am, of course, your host of the Wrestle Plug, Aeron, and I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with arguably one of the rising stars of all women's wrestling in any independent scene, L.A. Taylor of the Reach Academy. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's not mess about. Let's get right to it with this fantastic conversation I had with the amazing L.A. Taylor.
So how are you feeling? General, you enjoying this little run? Has it been exciting for you?
My first match was in September, so I'm still in my first year, massive rookie, which is an exciting time. Yeah, it's just been fun. It's really weird. I've never had something in my life that I've enjoyed so much, or that I've suddenly been consumed by. Wrestling's this weird thing that came into my life, I think, when I needed it most, really. And it's just completely sort of changed me as a person. It's brought me back to who I am, I think. You can't fake things out there, weirdly, if you get what I mean. The people watching you will know if you're not being real with them. So as much as it's what it is, they'll know if you're not being real with them. Yeah, I was forced to be myself, which is so much easier than how I was before. Yeah, no, I'm having a great little time at the moment. I met some great people, and I just love everything about it. I like learning. I like getting better. Getting better. I'm trying. I'm just fascinated by the whole process, and being a part of it is just a great laugh, you know. But I don't think it would be the same if I wasn't at Reach, for me personally. Reach has this very unique, wonderful atmosphere and feeling about it. When you turn up to training and everyone's there, it's just like walking into your friend's house. You know, it's just like walking into a great big house share full of your friends, and then you just wrestle each other. It's awesome. Good times.
One thing that really fascinates me about you is you don't strike me as a lifelong student of the game. You do now. There's no question. There's no question that you are so committed to making this a thing, and that's what's so cool about it. It isn't like you've dipped your toe into the wrestling world. You've literally launched yourself into the deep end, which is very cool to see.
It's a very interesting. I say very interesting. It's a very different story to what a lot of people have. I think when I was younger, you sort of had wrestling was on TV still, and I would copy things. Obviously, I was maybe 5, 6 or younger, and I would mercilessly attack my younger brother to the point of like cracking his skull open once. And that really was the end of my mum's tether. She banned wrestling in our house. So I have like really hazy memories of seeing sort of like Triple H, and thinking like when I was younger, I didn't see any female wrestlers on TV, or if I did, I certainly don't remember it. All I remember is I wanted to be Triple H, which was really bizarre, right? I all of the wrestlers who were like big, muscular, tanned guys with long blonde hair, that's who I wanted to be. And I'd sort of be like, and I'd pretend I'd say something that they had said, and I'd run along the sofa, jump off the arm, and just leap onto my poor little brother, and he'd be injured constantly. So yeah, wrestling got banned. That was kind of that. I didn't really think a lot about wrestling as I was growing up. I got into drama. I did a lot of acting, and I was in a swim team and a football team and things like that. And I've sort of always dabbled with sport, but I've never found something that works. So sort of fast forward a few years, loads of my friends were wrestling fans, and I remember saying like, oh, I never really got to watch that as a kid. I wasn't allowed to. And I sort of this is in very recent years, like the past 2-3 years, I'd start watching it again with them. I remember one year they were just like, oh, we're going to watch Mania. And I was like, I've never watched Mania. So I sat down and I was just like, this is great. And, you know, we watched through, and I remember, oh, it's so recent as well. Like, it's very recent for me. It was WrestleMania in Orlando. Is that where Naomi got the belt? Yeah, like so recent. That's how recent it was. I'd sort of started watching leading up to that Mania with them for a few months, and I remember thinking I hadn't really seen women in it before, and I was like, these women are all shapes and sizes, all different styles, they all move differently, but there's a place for all of them. And that sort of made me think, oh, okay, so I see women who are like big and tall and they look strong, right? But they're also wearing cool clothes, they've got their hair done, I'm like, oh, this seems like something where there's a space for everyone. And I didn't at that point think, oh, I'm going to do it, because there was nowhere for me to do it where I am. But I just thought it was cool and continued watching. Then sort of fast forward, there was a local taster session that a friend of mine dragged me along to, and we went together. And it was all very basic. I remember who I first locked up with, because the first person I ever locked up with was Jacob Kitto. And the second person I ever locked up with was Daddy Steele. So they were both there, and that was so cool. Just it's nice sort of remembering that and still being around those guys now. And I was sort of like, it was sort of still on a New Year's resolution. Oh, it's cool to try this out. And I had no intention of really going back, but they announced another one, that they were doing another one. And I was like, sure, I'll go along to that. And it happened to be that I found out that Reach was opening an academy whilst I was at that session. And I went without my friend. My friend couldn't make it to that one. So I was like, oh, okay. So here I am solo going back to this wrestling training. Heard about Reach, and I was just like, well, they've got a ring? Because I hadn't been in a ring yet. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I'm there. I'm going. So off I toddle all the way up to Plymouth, nervous as anything. There everybody is, and that was it. I sort of said hello to everyone. We built the ring together. We got in there. We started sort of learning some basics, and I was this awkward, very much larger girl than I am now, and heavily asthmatic. I felt awkward, and it was awful and amazing at the same time. But I was just like, oh, but I know that there's a place for, like, something feels right. Like, I know there's a place for me in this. I could do something here. And I just really enjoyed it, and it was a way to get fit at the time. So I just kept going, and eventually dragged that same friend back with me. Those were the first two women at Reach, and it's been a great time since.
Everyone talks about the fitness levels and the viciousness almost of what they put you through. I mean, that's wrestling in a nutshell. Anyone who's been in there will tell you. But there's a certain physicality about Reach, and a certain understanding that you will be pushed as hard as you can from a conditioning position. And you're somebody who obviously went in there with a different kind of body and a different kind of mindset, and being heavily asthmatic and things like, how is that like at the start for you, being asthmatic, like walking in there and it's like, right, 50 burpees, crack on, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just go over here and viciously vomit for 10 minutes. Like, how does is it just persistency has been the key? Because if anyone's seen you now, you're a bit of a specimen now, aren't you? Let's be honest.
You're
just
you're
becoming Triple H. You're becoming Triple H as we speak. It's time to play Taylor's game.
Outrageous. Yeah, for me, I think wrestling was an escape. I needed somewhere to go. I was like, brilliant, there's a whole day where I can be somewhere else, and that's nice. As soon as I got there, instant dread, because you have to go through that cardio, and there are no excuses. It doesn't matter who you are, you have to get through that cardio, pay your dues before you get into that ring. And that was always the way that I saw it, is if you're not going to put yourself through the cardio, then you're not proving that you want to get in that ring. And that's just what I told myself, was like, if you do this, then you get in there and wrestle. If you just get through this, then you might learn another reversal or something today. If you just get through this, then maybe you'll learn how to do this, and you can go back and sort of practice that. From day one, I was violently sick. I was violently sick several times for every single session, and that only stopped about 4 months ago. I literally, you ask anyone, Aurora loves to mock me, obviously, for obvious reasons, but she's like, yep, off she goes, vomiting again. You've just got to do it. And the thing is you can't half-ass it. You can't half-ass it at all. You've just got to accept that that's what it is, and they're not going to put you through this I say extreme, but this sort of higher level of cardio. And if they didn't want you to be better, at the end of the day, they want to put people out who are going to represent their brand correctly, and they want you to be able to move in there without dying and being a gasping mess, which is definitely how I was. And that's something that you should always keep on top of and try and improve. Nobody, not a single person gets away with skipping cardio or half reps or anything. It's something that you all have to go through. And I think actually that's great for the team building and the mentality of the group in general. You all know what you've had to go through that day to just get to the ring. It's been a long old time. I've how much weight have I dropped now? 62 pounds. 62 pounds I've dropped. My asthma has been labelled as dormant by the NHS, the wonderful NHS that we have. And I'm just trying to improve and build on that, because I started so much further back than everybody else. So I'm still trying to push that and get better and build a physique and, everything that goes with it.
I have it on good authority that Aurora is the only person who hasn't thrown up at training. Is this true?
That is utter lies, I can tell you now. No, I swear, where we used to train, I swear she threw up once. Honestly, I swear she did. I could be wrong. She definitely went to throw up because I was elated.
In her defence, she did say to me that she had got very close, but she had never actually.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll not dispute it too heavily, or there might be words.
You've done things that a lot of people don't either have the opportunity to do, or they simply don't have the strength to do. What's life like going into wrestling training? Like, because you said it was an escape.
It was a slow grower. It wasn't like an instant obsession. It kind of, I don't know, I just needed something in my life, I suppose. My theory is, and everyone from the academy will roll their eyes because they've heard this a million times from me, is that all of us who go to wrestle as adults, if you're a kid and you go to wrestle, you're a fan, right? That's fine, that's great. You want to be like your hero, and that's fine. But you think you're in your 20s and you've got a career, and you don't necessarily need to go to wrestling really to train. You can just be a fan and have a good time, and I think that that's what everybody should do. My theory is that we all go to wrestling because we like it and we want to give it a go. But the reason you come back is usually because there's something about you that just isn't complete or is that little bit broken. And for some reason, wrestling makes you feel complete. And you can't really put your finger on it. But the more and more people I talk to and the more and more people I get to know, I sort of find out what their deal is. And I'm like, so it doesn't, like, that's your deal. That's why you come to wrestling. Wrestling helps you deal with that. When you wrestle, it helps you overcome your feeling about that. But for me personally, I wasn't very true to myself, and wrestling helped me find who I was, really. I was living very much how I thought people wanted me to live, rather than pursuing and doing things that I wanted to do. That's my bag. That's how wrestling has helped me. Like I say, when I'm out there or when I'm at training or anything, I'm just me. And that's quite a new thing for me.
So you're naturally a heel then? You just enjoy being
Yeah, I'm just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Well, the thing is if you're gonna, like they always say that the best character is just you turned right up. So in order to do that successfully without people thinking that it's an act, or doing it or in a way to do it convincingly is to know who you are to begin with. If you don't know who you are, how are you going to amplify that and convince people of who you are when you're in the ring? Is my theory.
You already sound like the consummate professional. It's
Oh no. Not at all.
you
It's just
yeah.
I just ponder away.
No, but that's true though. You've mentioned the fact that like every character, that's literally one of the very first things you learn if you're a student in this game at all, is that all the best characters, all the greatest wrestlers are people who have just extenuated their personality to a point where, like you say, the volume is so high. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin is legitimately a bionic redneck lunatic. You know, The Rock was somebody teeming with charisma, and the list goes on and on. Obviously the Undertaker isn't a zombie, but it is what it is. That's what makes Reach so accessible. That's what makes Reach so popular, at least from my perspective and from what I've seen. People say that it's so good because it's an escape from reality, but also you get to see these people being themselves, being true. And like you say, if you don't go out there and be true to yourself, people will see through that. There is this commonplace with Reach of it being so real. Is that drilled into you as soon as you arrive at the academy, of you will be true to yourself and you will represent yourself?
I think there's room for everyone to experiment, try what they want to try. They'll certainly hear people out. I don't know a lot about sort of everybody else's journey with that. I know that amongst ourselves we'll often talk about character ideas and things like that, and it's very much different for everyone. They're brilliant in not taking a one size fits all approach to everybody. We're a very, very different bunch of individuals. We're all very different. There's not a single person in the academy, I'd say, that's similar to each other, and that's great for a start. But also what's great is that Jason and Grayson will approach everybody as individuals, I feel. And I think that shows, or at least I'd hope that shows when people watch us. I don't feel as though we're all just given the blanket treatment and one size fits all. And I think that's great. Of course I think that's great. Yeah.
How have you come up with this? I don't want to say character, because when I watch you wrestle, you don't feel like a character to me. You know how, because obviously you would have been around these sort of people. You know how somebody like a No Fun Dunn or a Los Santos Jr. will come out to the ring, or a Dick Riley, and there's kind of I'm not saying that they're disingenuous, but there's obviously there's a big difference to who they are in their normal lives. Like Santos doesn't rock up at work with his mask on and start pretending to be Mexican, even though he's a rather large Welsh lad. Whereas you come out, you have the presentation almost of an MMA fighter.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, it feels that way. You feel a little bit. Now, this is why, because obviously a lot of people want to know what it's like wrestling Millie McKenzie, what it was like for you having this astonishing moment, taking on one of the best women's wrestlers in Europe, if not the world.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know. Mind balloon. I looked at that match and I thought, wow, there's not similarities. I don't want to do you an injustice by claiming that you're anything like anybody else, because what is so cool about every single one of you, not just yourself, so I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, but you all feel unique. You all feel like you are you, and I love that, because sometimes, that's not bullshit. Sometimes you go to wrestling and somebody will come out and you'll think, Jesus Christ, what a rip-off of so-and-so, or oh Christ, he looks just like the other guy, or there's a lot of this kind of, copycat culture with wrestling. But you come out here looking very much like the powerful, basically stretch you out and break you, like you already, like for instance, JoeySeven. He gets in the ring and you think,
yes.
oh, yeah, like, come on. Like, he already looks like a superstar. And that's the same with you.
Completely,
You might
yeah.
not agree, but from our perspective as
Oh.
fans and being all big fat sweaty marks that we all are, we're all looking at people like you, these specimens, and we're thinking, wow, that woman right there looks like a star. I want to talk about you as a person.
I think actually, like in the grand scheme of things, I've had a pretty good time. Like I live in a great area of the world. I didn't grow up in particular hardship. I did grow up for the first few years of my life in a caravan. We lived in a caravan next to the sea, which sounds idyllic really when it's not freezing cold in winter. But we always had food and stuff, and my family's always lived comfortably. I have an education to a point, so that's great. I was always able to attend sports clubs and acting clubs and things like that. So I've lived an enriched life. I've had a good upbringing. It's literally just been the last couple of years that have been a little bit difficult. My lifestyle has just sort of changed a lot without going too much into it. I've sort of had to lead to changing where I live and how I live and who I live with and my routine, and changing the car I drive and things like that. My entire daily routine is completely different. I don't see some people anymore. There's been a lot to deal with and to handle whilst also trying to desperately dive headfirst into wrestling. And I think because there's been a lot to handle, that I've wanted to dive into it all the more. So I see it as that I'm very fortunate that I feel that everything has happened at the right time, and without having some inconveniences and stresses, I wouldn't have wanted to wrestle as much as I do. So in a way, actually, I'm even more fortunate. It's freed up a ton of time so I can train a lot, and so that I can change my body, and so I can try and build a physique. And yeah, if anything, I just feel fortunate. I feel very fortunate. I don't feel as though I cannot complain at all. Not at all.
I would ask you where the name L.A. Taylor comes from, but it's not really much of a stretch, is it?
It's really not a stretch, no.
Lazy shit. No, I'm kidding. Was that just natural to you? Do you think that comes through with the character? Because, like I've said, the character just feels like you, but with
That's exactly it. So originally I wanted to run with something a bit more. I'm not sure if this is an offensive way to say it. A bit more gimmicky. So I wanted to go with something. I wanted to be called. What did I want to be called?
Triple H Jr.
Yeah, literally. No, I wanted to be called Winter, and I wanted to be dressed all in like icy blue colours and theme everything around that. It was like very heavily themed, and I was just like, it's not me. It just wasn't me. And I kept on trying to run with that and the idea of that, like in my head. Like, didn't really speak out about it a lot. Kept it to myself, and then I sort of realised as time went on and various things in my life changed, I was just like, that's not going to work. I don't believe it. How are they going to believe it? So I was just there like, why don't you just be you? That way you're not a slave to any kind of image or anything that's any particular gimmick or whatever. You can just adapt and evolve and change as you change. And I kind of liked that. I liked the idea of not being tied down to anything in particular. I just want it to be me. It's the same with like my gear and everything. I get comments that it's very plain and it's just all black. I wear all black almost constantly anyway, so I'm just like, well, I like all black. And it's very much a case of I don't want people to get hooked up or held up or hung up on what my gimmick is. I want them to watch me and what I'm doing and become invested in what I'm trying to show them and the stories I'm trying to tell. I don't want them to get so hooked on what I'm about. I want them to be interested in what's going on in the ring, is the theory anyway. Whether or not that works, I'll probably get smashed from a great height and get told that's completely wrong. But again, that's just my thinking with it. That's how I arrived at that.
if anyone complains about wearing all black, well, it worked quite well for Stone Cold Steve Austin, so I don't see why it shouldn't work well. Also, Millie McKenzie wears all black, and let's be honest, if you want to chat shit about Millie McKenzie, she should probably just suplex you through the roof. So
Yeah, no one chits shit about Millie.
no, I'm not surprised. Very physical for such a lovely human being. Fuck it, we're here. Let's talk about it. You wrestled Millie McKenzie. How long have you been training for?
Because we didn't sort of train as regularly when we started. So I'd say like consistently maybe a year, maybe a bit more than a year. Consistently a year and then a little bit more, I think.
All right, so just over a year you've been training on a consistent level at least. And then whichever one of the lovely chaps comes up to you and says, Millie McKenzie's next.
I was out somewhere I was at a friend's house and I had a message from Grayson saying, you had better pick up your phone, Jason's going to call you. And I was like, what have I done wrong? I was like, I'm just going to pop outside a sec, guys. My phone rings and I waited a few minutes. I was like, I've done something wrong. I've lost something. I said something wrong. And I was racking my brains. I was like, I don't think I've done anything wrong. What could this be? I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah. Wouldn't tell me what it was about for a good 10 minutes. So I'm just sat there sweating whilst he tells me a story about something that he finds funny. And that I probably would have found funny had I not been sat there in an absolute wreck wondering what I'd done wrong. And I remember I lost my patience. I went, look, Jason, what have I done wrong? Why are you calling me? And he was just like, oh, no, there's nothing wrong. Let me finish my story. Finishes his story. He's just like, oh, by the way, we're going to put you against Millie McKenzie in a match for the title. And I was like, haha, very funny. What have I done wrong? And why are you taking the mick out of me like this? What have I done to deserve this? Come on, I must have done something wrong. I didn't believe him. And he was on the phone for another couple minutes before he goes, no, I'm serious. And I was like, oh, I said to him, true story. I said to him, wait there a minute, put the phone down, walked away a bit, shouted a very loud 4-letter word, walked back and went, all right then. And was absolutely terrified, but said I would love to, so long as it was okay if I could step up my training and attend more training. And he was like, yep, you can attend as many sessions as you need to attend, booked in extra sessions and things like that, changed up my gym program. This is a very good point to give a shout out to my PT, who has literally helped me so much with everything and continues to. She knows who she is, so there we go.
Hi, Aurora. How you doing?
Exactly. She's awesome. Everyone should ask her for programs. Yeah, and that's just how that went down. It was a phone call, and I had 3.5 weeks, and I was just like, right, well, I'll just train as much as I can, make sure that I'm in shape, that I don't blow up, that I sort of did a bit of research on her moveset a little, because there's a few moves there that I couldn't take very well at that point. So focused on learning how to get those down. And that was that, really. It was like studying for an exam. You sort of study for that exam. Obviously, because I'm such a noob at this point, it required a lot of work to come up to a level where I could work to a point with her. So, yes.
Tell me about the match itself. How did you feel?
I felt absolutely fine until the exact moment I was about to go out, and I suddenly realised the people who were on this show, and I think it's just a locker room full of people who I look up to, and I was like, they're going to see this. Like some of these people will see this, and then there's the thing of I don't want to let anyone down. And I always have this little moment of panic until the music hits, and then I'm like, well, screw it, and it's pure acceptance. It's like, you got to do it now. As soon as the music hits, that's it. Character's on, sort of, she's on, and out you go. But yeah, honestly, it's the most fun I've ever had. Most fun I've ever had. I honestly, I was just in there. I was like, this is great. This is such fun. I had just such a good time. It's the most fun I've had so far.
How was it being around Millie? Like the level of professionalism. We're talking about a woman who's travelled the world, wrestled the best women's wrestlers in the world, appeared on incredible stages in front of thousands of people, and here she is wrestling you. How important is that? Like, do you think that has vaulted you up another couple of levels? Has that kind of propelled you even further than you thought you might have got? Because once you've wrestled somebody like that, now you've got an understanding of what kind of level and what it takes to sort of wrestle at the highest of levels, because that's where she wrestles. So now you've got a much better understanding of where you want to be, I imagine.
That's a very good question. First and foremostly, Millie McKenzie is an absolute consummate professional. She is a fantastic person, and I'm just incredibly glad that I had that opportunity. I can't really say much more than that. I could go on and on and on and on about how great she is, but we know that she's everything that you would expect of someone at that level, and I learned a lot just from being around her and being in the ring with her, and it was a very valuable learning experience that I am very grateful for. I highly, it's a bit mind-boggling, really. I forgot what the rest of the question was.
What it feels like now afterwards, because you've had that process,
yeah.
you've had that match. Like, but there is, what people don't realise is that you don't just kind of think, cool, I've wrestled with Millie McKenzie, I'll just go home and have a cup of tea now, and that's that. Like, there is a, there's a level to these things, and obviously that's not enough for you. After that, is there this kind of blossoming fire inside of you of, right, now I know exactly what I want to do. Now I know exactly what it takes to be on that level. So now I need to replicate that and make sure that that is done every single night.
I think with it has come a greater understanding, for sure. I don't believe that I know what it takes at that level at all. I don't think until you're there that you know. You can have a glimpse of it and you can learn more, for sure. And I think that it definitely helped my understanding. But no, I don't think you know what it takes until you're there doing it. As far as sort of moving on from there, it's been good for me because there's been a level of exposure where there's been a bit of interest, which is always lovely. First and foremost, I want to wrestle. And I want to wrestle, then I want to look at how I wrestled, pick it apart, and then get better and wrestle again. And keep on doing that and keep on doing that and keep on doing that. And just get better and better and better at it until I get to the point where I physically can't drag my body to the ring anymore. That's what I want to do. Wherever that goes or wherever that finds me is kind of, it's not that it's not important, it's just not as important to me. It's the journey I'm interested in, and it's seeing just how far I can push myself and just how much I can achieve or how much of an understanding I can gain of it. That's what I'm interested in. I want to see, can I take this story and tell it effectively? And how can I tell it? Can I tell this story night after night after night after night in so many different ways and still get a reaction? I'm more interested in that than anything. But of course, because I want to wrestle more, I do want to wrestle with as many promotions and as many different places as I can. And it's been nice. There have been sort of there's been a bit of interest, and that's always great. And I'm hoping to work with some more promotions in the future if I can. I'm just grateful for any opportunity, really. It sounds really lame, like, oh, I'm just trying to be a nice person. But no, honestly, I'm just happy for any opportunity, any way that I can get out there and learn more and improve and entertain people. That's what I want.
Such a politician.
I'm not a politician.
Yeah,
it's true.
You're saving all the goss. I know exactly. You've got plenty of tea to spill, but I reckon you're going to spill it elsewhere. Let's try and delve in a little bit. Let's see if we can dissect you a little bit. Where's the attention coming from? Where do people want you to wrestle next?
I'm not allowed to say that, am I?
Were you at WAW recently?
Yes. Well, I went up for a training weekend because again, I want to learn. So I went up for a training weekend and had a really lovely time, really welcoming, lovely people. And they said, hey, we've got a show on. Why don't you jump in on that? And Echo Reed was there as well. And we sort of both jumped in. And it was a good laugh. And yeah, great weekend. Fantastic. Just, again, great. Who did we train with?
Was it one of the Knight family training you?
They were about, but they have their head coach, Jason Cross. So he was heading up the sessions, but they'd sort of chip in and things.
Yeah, I was going to say because it used to be Zach Knight was their trainer. So
he's away at the moment, so.
I'm not surprised. They're all bloody famous now. Extreme. I mean, they always were famous in the wrestling world, but they're like famous. You know, that's like.
Oh yeah.
There's levels to this fame, as I'm sure you will find out as your career progresses and you eventually become a huge WWE superstar.
Oh my god.
It'll happen. I'll tell you what, right? I'm going to make a little deal with you that if you ever make it to WWE, you have to promise me you'll come back on this podcast and have a chat with me.
It's a very empty promise, but cool.
No, I don't care. I'll take it because if it does happen, because hey, I've got lofty aspirations for all of you, and particularly yourself. Like the humbleness is great, but don't forget that it's always important to stop and tell yourself how well you've done. And that's why at the next show you're wrestling JoeySeven for the Academy Championship, which not only sends out a great statement because this is twofold. First of all, it says L.A Taylor is doing so well and has accomplished so much and has represented herself so well that we're going to give her a shot at the Academy Championship. But it also sends out this incredible message of intergender wrestling is absolutely on the table here, and it isn't at a lot of other places. As a woman, is there kind of a sense of pride here of, I could represent our entire Academy as a woman?
For sure, it's a great opportunity to be given. Again, it's cool that they'll sort of trust you with that match. It's also a match that I never thought would happen. I thought, I'm never gonna wrestle Seven. So that for me is really awesome. I'm just so excited because I didn't think it was something that would ever be possible. It was a complete curveball for me. So I was just like, oh, that's awesome. He's also I haven't had a match against someone who's bigger than me yet. So that's interesting, size-wise and personality-wise and everything. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm majorly excited for it. Honestly, I can't tell you. As far as representing the women and things like that, at the All Roads Lead to Gold show, there was very much a sense of, yes, the Academy is behind you, and yes, you're going out there for the Academy. But in all honesty, yes, there still is this feeling of I'm going out there and I've got to try and do this for my girls. Like those are my girls, we've got each other's back. We're a very tight-knit group within a group, and I do feel very responsible, and I do feel a sense of sort of duty almost to them to do the best I can. I know that they all feel the same. We all feel that we owe it to each other to keep pushing ourselves and doing what we can to further the cause of our sort of division within Reach and within the Academy. So yeah, if I'm honest, I know that we like to think that there isn't that, but I certainly do feel that, and I know that we feel that as a group. We just want to push ourselves. The idea of this next Academy show is just so brilliant because almost the entire card is intergender, and the matchups are just brilliant. I'm so excited to see all of them. I think the person I feel the most sorry for is Matt Evans. He's got Aeron, so he gonna die. Like, literally, anyone who's opposite Aeron is gonna be flattened. I don't care who they are. Sort of pray that the day never comes when I'm opposite her. To be honest with you, she's a different beast. So
the the excitement of wrestling JoeySeven, because I know, like, you know, you're very professional and you wouldn't give anything away and everything, but I know that everybody loves Joey. Everybody loves Joey. He's just like Joey from Friends. Everyone adores him. Yeah, like, actually, Joey made himself aware to me, actually, which was really funny. Like, normally I make myself aware to wrestlers. He just came up to me and was like, all right, mate. I was like, hello. It's just one of those things where I was like, why is this incredibly sizable and toned man speaking to me? Yeah, like, everybody looks up to Joey. He's kind of the poster boy, isn't he, for the academy? And he's almost, in some ways, the poster boy for Reach. In a lot of, you know, he's the housewife special. And
he is the housewife's favourite.
anyone who doesn't like him, I find him highly suspicious. The fact of the matter is that he is the poster child, but he's also so popular and he's helped so many of you push forward in your journey. And for you, you're in one of the most enviable positions. I bet the rest of the academy's thinking, you lucky swine, because here you are. Not only do you get to work with him, but you also get to challenge him for such a prestigious title as well.
They just break all kayfabe whatsoever. JoeySeven is one of the most lovely people you ever meet. Honestly, he's a very giving person. Has helped me out a great deal. It's honestly got to be a matter of time before you just see him everywhere. Just such a great guy, and just seems to have a good natural ability. I just honestly, I hope I see him absolutely everywhere, and I hope he gets everything he wants out of it, you know. But that's why I'm going to smash the absolute living shit out of him. There we go.
Like that. That's what I've been sort of waiting for, is that answer of, oh, I'm going to kick the shit out of somebody. Because let's be honest, you're a specimen, mate, so you should be fucking enforcing your will upon your opponents. But like you say, the card is stacked from top to bottom.
I honestly, this next show is so stacked. So I think it's, for me, it's not me crapping on the other shows at all. I think it's the most exciting card that there's been.
Nonsense questioning,
Yes,
multiple
good.
choice questions,
We
which
like
is
those.
yes, exactly. Don't worry, Aurora got the treatment, so you will as well. I want to know what you want to talk about. Is there anything you'd like to hype? Obviously, you're going to drop your brand, and we all want to know where we can buy those gorgeous 8x10s. Thank you very much. But what do you want to talk about? Is there anything? This is your platform. This is your brand. Is there something you want to say?
Oh, wow, you've really put me on the spot there. Anyone who's even half interested enough to be listening, thank you. I've been incredibly fortunate to meet some fantastic people in some of the loveliest locker rooms with the greatest atmospheres, and I think I've been really fortunate to have a great start. You know, I'm still in my first year. I've managed to work for a couple of promotions that I really admire. I managed to work for All Star Wrestling the other day in Salisbury, and that was just a dream come true. And just thank you for everybody who's taught me and helped me and supported me. And I'm a complete novice right now, but I'm going to work hard and see where I go, you know. Let's hope that all of those words of wisdom and everything that I've been getting are being taken in somewhere, and I can give it a go. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? But
Yeah,
it's so worth it. It's so worth it. That's all I say to anyone. Like, if anyone comes up to me, any of the guys come up to me and they're sort of saying, hey, like, I'm really struggling, I just say to them, look, you know it's worth it. Like, I know it's hard. I know it's really, really, really bloody difficult, but it's just so worth it, because that feeling when you're in there is just, there's nothing else like it. Not really. And they know it, really. They just need someone to remind them.
Let's get to the more important matters. I want to know whether you prefer Walking Dead or Game of Thrones.
I personally prefer Game of Thrones. I prefer Game of Thrones. I watch both, but I prefer Game of Thrones simply because I prefer the source material. I was much more into the Game of Thrones books than I was the Walking Dead comics. There we go.
X-Men or Umbrella Academy?
Oh, X-Men.
Who's your favourite member of the X-Men?
That's an incredibly good question. My favourite member of the X-Men when I was growing up was always Storm. Storm or Wolverine. I'd probably say Wolverine now. I know that that's like a very popular answer to give these days now that there's so many films. But yeah, Wolverine.
Tea or coffee?
Tea or coffee? I always start with a coffee, so I have to say coffee. If there's just one choice, then it's going to be a coffee. I can't have a tea unless I've had a coffee first.
Interesting. Now we're getting into the real meat of the subject. Oh dear, no one will remember all the wrestling chat. They'll be like, "What? You can't drink tea without coffee first?" That'll be. Oh, I've got so many of these. Cats or dogs?
Oh no, don't do me like that. I like both.
Oh no. We're not going to have fence sitting on the podcast. It's bad enough that you dropped 55 disclaimers in the last hour. I demand.
Oh wow.
Cats or dogs?
At the moment, because I think I do change. At the moment, I'm a cat person.
Ugh.
I know. I think most of the time I'm a dog person, but I'm too busy right now, so we'll say cat person.
Yeah, cats are a good animal to have if you've got a busy lifestyle because you literally just give them their food and they fuck off for the rest of the
day. Yeah, they don't really know who you are. They just know that you bring food. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of cats, but I do have the consistency of a cat when it comes to relationships where just give me dinner and I'll fuck off for the rest of the evening and you won't see me.
You and most men, yes.
I'd like to point out that I cook every single one of my dinners myself, so you can kiss my ass. Football or rugby?
Rugby. No, I grew up in a household that preferred rugby. I don't actually have a rugby team that I support, unless it's Cornwall, I suppose. But if we're talking football, then Liverpool.
I kind of have a sneaky love for Liverpool because I'm half Egyptian, and obviously Mo Salah, so he's like my hero. So I'm just like, have to kind of appreciate what Liverpool are doing. And you've waited since 1990 for a league title, and if coronavirus has its way, you're going to be waiting a lot longer, sunshine.
Yay!
It is. That's what Man United fans are saying anyway, because they're scum. Sorry. I always remember that one line about Man United fans. Man United fans are like rats. You're only ever 4 meters away from one of the bastards.
Wow, yeah. They are
Remember that
rampant.
one.
They're everywhere, those Man U fans.
Yeah, that's because they all live in the south, mate. That's why. Do you support your city or do you support your country?
I don't have a city, so I'll say country.
Oh, snake. What's your nearest city?
Ooh, Plymouth.
Oh,
but that's Devon, so can't support them, can I?
A bit of spicy county rivalry. We like some of that. Is there a big rivalry between Devon and Cornwall? Do you buy into that?
For wrestling, sure.
Isn't Jason King from Devon?
He might be. I'm not sure if I've ever heard him when he's been shouting about it. No.
Really?
Possibly.
Because he came out with a Devonshire flag once and planted it in the middle of the ring at Reach.
Well, did he? I must have ignored or missed that or wiped it from my mind.
Oh. Fish and chips or toad in the hole? Like different ones. Don't laugh at toad in the hole because that is just immature.
I'm gonna say fish and chips. Fish and chips is the one.
Fish and chips is gorgeous. Cake or pie?
Is it a savoury or sweet pie?
I believe it's a savoury pie.
Oh.
It is in my house anyway.
It really depends on the flavouring of the two.
Wow, that is such a politician's answer.
It does. It genuinely does. If it's like a pork pie.
Are you running for like Labour candidate or something?
It's like a pork pie or something. I'd be like, as much as I'm not supposed to eat it right now, yes, like the pork pie is going to win. But if you're putting a red velvet cake in front of me, that's getting it. I'm having some of that.
Soup or sandwich?
Sandwich. But have you ever dipped a toasted sandwich in soup?
Oh, hello.
Because that is something else. That is a game changer.
I've got to try that now.
Yep. You want to get yourself like a bacon brie and cranberry toasted sandwich. Dip that in your favourite soup.
Oh, mate. The fact that you
absolute filth.
Eating out or eating in?
I'm going to say Out.
What's your go-to? Are you one of these wrestlers who subscribes to Nando's?
Well, I'm not actually. Oh God, I'm not a fan of Nando's.
That's absolutely fine. I don't see. I
Yeah.
make.
It's like if I wanted chicken and chips, I'll have it at home. Like, it's not that difficult.
I'm gonna forward this to Will Ospreay. He'll lose his mind over that.
He will. I'll eat there, but if there's another option, I'll go for the other option.
Where would you go for dinner?
Oh, I want to go Japanese. If there's like some Japanese food, that's awesome. Or get like
Is that because it's much healthier and much more slimming than the rest?
No, genuinely, I have a natural disposition to like that. Like, if you're looking at chains, then like Yo Sushi and Wagamama are awesome. But like, yeah, just any sort of Japanese food is nice. I went somewhere really lovely the other day, and what did we have? It was like Korean barbecue. So you get like all of your stuff and you barbecue it yourself.
Yeah, I love that. It's awesome. I hate Wagamamas. I hate it. I went once and it was just a bowl of soup with a load of shit in it, and I just thought, no offense, but this is not fucking good. Like
Ramen.
Yeah, I like ramen.
Maybe the branch you were in wasn't very good.
Well, it's in my hometown, so I'm fiercely defendant of that place because it is the most beautiful town on earth. But it is what it is. What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Laundry. Laundry is the bane of my life. It's the bane of my existence. At the moment, I'm currently looking at a veritable mountain of unfolded clothes. I just can't. I can get them all cleaned. I just cannot, for the life of me, put them away. Folding. It's the endless folding. You know, I worked in a clothes shop for a little while, and I did enough folding there. I don't need to do any more.
Oh, these questions, I'm not looking forward to these because you're a politician, so I'm expecting on the fence central here.
I will try.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that Grayson Reeves looks like a B-Tech Chris Hero?
Yes.
Thank you.
He does look like there has been some kind of love child situation there, doesn't he?
Is it good? I want to know, do you have your toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Do you know what? I've always had it under, and I think I'm just
really?
used. Yeah, people are like, what? They think it's outrageous, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Absolute heathen. It's further away. It doesn't make any sense. You're just expending more energy.
Exactly. You always have to think about exercise. And if you can have exercise while you're on the shit.
Oh, no.
Just that extra calories.
It's not constructive. No, I'm not having it over.
Coronavirus.
So when you go to the hotels and they've folded it nicely to make it look like they haven't just used one that's been used a bit already, it's always over.
Interesting.
And they're obviously toilet roll experts, therefore over.
Oh yeah, like Travelodge, definitely experts in toilet roll. I like how you were more passionate about that than you were about anything else. It's over.
I'm only just getting warmed up.
Skydiving or bungee jumping?
Skydiving.
Have you done either?
I've done skydiving. I couldn't bungee jump.
Really? I love that. I couldn't bungee jump. Not being attached to a cord. I want to feel free when I'm plummeting towards my death.
Yeah, I know, right? No, skydiving every time. Terrifying.
Right. Flying or driving?
Driving.
Do you like flying? Or do you fear it?
I really have not travelled very much at all.
Oh, you
but
will.
Statistically, it is the safest way of travelling. Also, Superman tells me.
Superman? What, JoeySeven?
Oh, wow, okay. He'll be absolutely chuffed to bits that you compared him to Clark Kent.
Right. He is.
He basically is.
Is he not perfectly made to be the next Superman? I've said this to loads of people, and it all sort of. Aurora agreed with me. Everyone else kind of looks at me a bit funny. I think probably because of that. But honestly,
I see it for sure.
Like if you stick some glasses on him, fuck it, he's made. He's well away. Like I'm gonna let him borrow my glasses now because he's. I think I remember saying something along those lines of like when he first spoke to me. I was like, "Are you in NXT? Because you look like you're supposed to be in NXT." Okay, let's get away from the multiple choices and let's wrap it up and let you crack on. A couple of quick questions. Who's your favourite in the academy?
Favourite in the academy?
Yeah, like who's the first person you look forward to seeing when you get there?
That's a good question. At the moment, Echo Reed, I would say.
What's your biggest phobia, L.A. Taylor?
Biggest phobia? I don't like the dark. There has to be some kind of illumination.
You said that in the most unique way ever. Some illumination. Yeah. How about spiders? What do you like with spiders?
Oh, absolutely not. Vom.
Yeah,
But I highly disagree with hurting them or killing them. I like for them to be placed outside. But I feel quite passionately about that. I'm just like, why'd you kill it?
yeah, no, I understand that. Still, I've murdered many, and if I literally, there is only one thing that I truly despise on this earth, and it is spiders. You cannot tell me that everything is God's creatures because they look like they are the devil incarnate. Nothing
the way they move is just so unique.
Nothing that can walk 360 like that was born to be in heaven. Absolutely. Same with crabs, mate. Crabs are disgraceful. They are what?
Oh, they're cute.
No, they're not.
They taste
good. I love that. They're so cute. They taste good.
Yeah.
That was a real shift. That was like, oh, that's really nice when I'm eating them.
Lobsters are the same. Like I think lobsters are really adorable.
Yeah.
But again, they taste good. So
they do taste good.
Maybe that's the rule. Maybe if something's really adorable, it will taste good.
Right. Last question. Dream wrestling opponent.
Oh my
Anyone,
God.
past or present. They could be alive. They could be passed on. Doesn't matter who. You have one person who you can wrestle in the main event of WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom, depending on what your preference is. Who are you going to wrestle?
Beth Phoenix.
Great choice.
I have a very good comparison photo of my angry face as I'm eliminating PJ and Beth Phoenix's angry face. And it just looks the same. And I was like, oh, I wonder who I take inspiration from. If anything, I look up more to the people local to me. I see them wrestling and I'm more inspired and look up to them more because I can connect to them a bit more than I can with someone on a TV screen.
Yeah, they're in front of you. They feel more real.
Exactly. So, yeah. But if, pick anyone, I think, Beth Phoenix, why not? Take that glam slam and my soul will leave my body.
Yeah, that would be an amazing matchup, to be honest. Plus, she's still wrestling, so you never know. You never know. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You're a fucking lunatic, but I love you dearly.
Thank you.
There's a bit, honestly, mate, I cannot wait until you transition out of wrestling into politics. You are going to be so
dodging questions left, right, and centre.
Either that, or you're going to like get into your late 30s and just become really like honest and vicious to everybody. But
I can be, but I try and be honest but fair. Fair.
Yeah, constructive is very important.
Constructive brutality.
Honestly, you've been an absolute joy, mate. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations on your meteoric rise to success, which you probably don't acknowledge yet. And
I don't think that's a thing yet. No.
Ultimately, mate, I wish you the best of success. And like I say, don't forget to come back on when you're a massive megastar.
Oh, bless you. Yeah. I'm going to keep working hard. I promise.
Just keep doing your thing. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you as the megastar that you will become.
No worries, man. I'll speak to you soon.
My pleasure, mate. It's my pleasure.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, L.A. Taylor. What an amazing interview, what an amazing opportunity to talk to somebody who is on their way to becoming genuinely one of the big rising stars of women's wrestling, particularly in British wrestling, and most likely beyond when all things are said and done. That conversation took place right before the pandemic hit, guys, just in case you were wondering why certain things on the conversation didn't line up with the timeline. But overall, it was an amazing conversation with L.A. Taylor. I'm really thrilled that we finally got her on the podcast because she is absolutely awesome. And we've been holding on to that interview for a little while, but now seems like a very good time to drop that. hopefully, very soon, you're going to have the opportunity to see L.A Taylor perform at Reach Wrestling. And if you're in the Southwest region, or if you have the opportunity to travel down there once everything is lifted, she really is one of the crown jewels of an incredible academy. Everybody in that academy is going to be a superstar. It just feels that way. Jason and Grayson have done an incredible job. And I think right at the top of that is, of course, JoeySeven and L.A Taylor, two magical talents. And speaking of JoeySeven, he'll be on the Wrestle Plug very, very soon. A little bit of a spoiler for you guys, as you've been so cool and so kind in supporting the podcast as of late in very difficult times for all of us. That's it from the Wrestle Plug for now, ladies and gentlemen. If you have anything to say about the interview, or if you want to hear somebody else on the Wrestle Plug, all you've got to do is contact us at WrestlePlug on social media, and of course WrestlePlug.com. Head to contact us, fill out the form, let us know who you want to hear on the podcast, and of course let us know what you think. If you've got any opinions, any interactions whatsoever, this is the podcast for it. Unlike a lot of podcasts, we care about what you think, and we give you equal footing, equal platform. That includes any pieces you'd like to write for WrestlePlug.com. Absolutely no catches whatsoever. You can contact us, you can send in an article on anything you're passionate about in wrestling terms, and we will post that article with full accreditation to you. That's a guarantee from me, Aeron Nix, the owner and distributor of everything that is Wrestle Plug. From myself, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you very soon for more nonsense from the Wrestle Plug. This content was brought to you by the Wrestle Plug Podcast.